Welcome to Sideline Sports. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, along with my two co-hosts, JB and John. Guys, how we doing tonight?
Ooh, doing pretty well. Excited. 2 days away from the draft. I can't wait. How about you guys?
I'm ready. I'm excited. That's for sure.
I don't know. We'll see what the Giants do. I'll tell you on Friday how I feel. I'm not feeling too optimistic right now.
I wouldn't get too excited either. We kind of suck, and I've said this before on the show. I don't trust Dave Gettleman. Period. So it doesn't really matter. You know, if he's in charge, I don't trust us to draft anything correct. Knowing the Giants, they'll do the one thing that they don't really need, which is draft another receiver. Because honestly, they could live without it. Just a guess.
Let's hope they do the right thing.
Well, Matt had sent us that screenshot. I don't know how true it is of the Chargers apparently tweeted out that they were trading up with the Giants. Giants were trading back, and then the Chargers deleted it.
The tweet right away. Yeah.
Deleted it right away. So that, who knows if that's true. It's smoke screen season, 2 days away from the draft. So we all know that these type of things happen where teams leak out things on purpose to make other teams think that this is happening or this is not.
Just to say the exact trade was, because I just pulled it up. The Chargers were getting the number 11 pick this year, and the Giants received the number 13 and the number 77 pick in this year's draft. So, Giants move back 2 spots, gain a little capital in a later round. Probably doesn't mean anything, but who knows?
If it happens, it's kind of Joe Judge doing a Bill Belichick type thing. It's what New England was known for. Moving around picks, getting capital, getting more guys in there that believe in the system. So, I don't think that it's not possible. It still may happen, but for whatever reason, it didn't as of yet. But there'll be a lot of moves this year, as usual.
We'll find out. Alex, how you doing?
Long time no see, gentlemen.
How
doing? Are we?
Finally got a night off. I'm glad to be back.
Happy to have you. We were just talking some draft. So, John, I'll let you take it away. You said there's a lot going on, so you go right ahead with whatever you got, man.
Yeah, of course. We're 2 days away from the draft, and there's so much to talk about. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan was talking about whether Jimmy Garoppolo will be the quarterback potentially for the Niners, and then he said we don't even know if anybody will be alive by Sunday, by the end of Sunday. And it was are you saying?
He basically said, I have no idea who is going to still be on my roster on Sunday when this is all done. I was like, well, thanks. That's real helpful.
Everybody on Twitter was like, is he going to kill Jimmy Garoppolo? Right? And it was fantastic. So there's just so much going on. I mean, that Atlanta talking about trading Julio Jones after June 1st because of their cap issues.
Yeah.
Which then potentially says that they're going to take Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase or somebody like that there, somebody, to replace Julio Jones. So it's like, what do you do there? And then if that happens, then what happens with the Miami Dolphins? Do the Miami Dolphins trade back because they're not getting Kyle Pitts or they're not getting Jamar Chase? Because maybe Pitts and Chase are going at 4 and 5. And the Dolphins now trading Eric Flowers might want Sewell. So it's
I was just going to say, Sewell seems like the logical pick at that point. Having just gotten rid of Eric Flowers, it kind of makes sense. You get rid of one guy, you replace him with a new one.
And they signed DJ Fluker, so it's like, I'm trying to put all these.
I'm on old Giants.
I'm trying to put all these pieces together on what's really going to happen, and none of us actually know what's going to happen. We all think we do. We think Zach Wilson's going to go too, but he might not. I mean, who knows? Jets could pull a Jets thing, as I've been saying for weeks.
What would the Jets possibly take other than Zach Wilson? Come on.
Devonta Smith, because he's a Heisman winner.
They don't have a quarterback.
But it's a Jets thing to do. That's what I'm saying. I never know what they're going to do.
All right. They may be stupid, and I admit that.
They're stupid, yes.
But what was that?
The one thing that we do know for sure is that the Jets are going after a quarterback.
Exactly.
Because they got rid of Sam.
Hey, thank you. Exactly what I was going to say. They have to get a quarterback because otherwise they don't have one.
Well, guys, then I'd like to see the NFL draft a bit like mathematics. Sunshine, Jacksonville. That's out of the way. Jets need a quarterback. And whether it's Fields or Wilson, we know they're doing that.
Absolutely.
Now, everybody's thinking San Francisco is going to get a quarterback. And they probably do need a quarterback to upgrade from Jimmy G. But what if they threw a monkey wrench in the program and grabbed Pitts? Think about Pitts and Kittle on the field with Deebo Samuel and Raheem Mostert. That's nightmare.
See, the only problem I have with that, and I have thought about it, it's not a bad idea. It's just they're going to have to do a lot of 2 tight end packages, which they absolutely can.
Well, you can line Pitts up out wide, just like Jimmy Graham.
Don't get me wrong. No, I agree. I'm just saying I'm afraid they won't, only because they have George Kittle. I agree with what you're thinking, but I'm afraid that San Francisco is thinking in a way that's not like you. They're not thinking, let's do 2 tight end packages.
Well, they already like to run the ball. They already like to run the ball with those big packages anyway, so it's not really out of their realm.
But the difference between that package versus what I'm talking about, the packages I'm talking about are where the tight ends are going to be receiving, not blocking.
Right.
Kyle Pitts, yes, he can block, but at the same time, they're going to have to do you bring up the point they like to run. They'd rather a blocking tight end at that point as opposed to.
But what about you're running a lot and then you go play action and then you have 2 tight ends going play action down the middle of the field? How do you cover on a play action pass? How do you cover Pitts and Kittle running down the middle of the field? How do you do that? Like off a play action pass. And Garoppolo's pretty good at play action. That's the one thing he's pretty good at. Good luck. Kyle Pitts has the largest wingspan for a tight end in the history of the NFL. There you go. How about that?
Guys,
look.
I firmly believe that the draft doesn't start until pick number 4, because I do believe San Francisco is getting the quarterback. At pick number 4, you have Atlanta's that's going through changes. Rumors that they're going to trade away Julio Jones, a defense that's Gerber baby food soft, holes in the offensive line.
Alex, hold on. I got to say this. It's not Gerber baby food soft, because that's an insult to Gerber, and that we can't do that to them. It's worse than that. It truly is. And I want to say that just in case Gerber ever wanted to sponsor this for whatever reason. You know what? It's an insult to them because the Falcons are even worse. Truly, not to take away from your point. Just needed to be said.
I think if we got 7 guys with us, we could probably score on their defense. That's all I'm going to say. Their defense was atrocious.
As I said earlier, Ryan is Leaf when Julio is not there. Think about that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Maybe Jake doesn't get that reference because he's 20 years old.
All right, I got it. Excuse you.
That bad, but
I don't think he's that bad.
Look at those numbers. Look at his numbers without Julio.
He's not good, but he's not that bad.
I agree. He's definitely bad. I don't think that's fair.
Methamphetamines in the off season, so I won't use that reference for Matt Ryan. What you're saying? Probably only need 5 guys. Yeah, I know that Falcons defense is pathetic. But guys, we're not thinking straight when it comes to the draft, because we all know that Kyle Pitts is super and everyone wants him, but it's not what you want; it's what you need.
What you need, exactly.
Cincinnati would be an excellent pick for Kyle Pitts, but they have bigger issues. It doesn't matter what weapons you get for Joe Burrow if you can't protect Joe Burrow. Penei Sewell makes sense for that offensive line, so that way you can throw to T. Higgins and to a tight end that you draft later on, because Drew Sample isn't the answer.
And Tyler Boyd.
Agreed. Exactly. I think the problem is, though, I think the big thing is Joe Burrow is so insistent on Jamar Chase that they may go with him. I hope they don't, because I agree with you, Alex, completely that they need to actually protect him first, or you're going to have a repeat of last season over and over and over again. But it seems like Joe Burrow is so high on Jamar Chase. Oh, I want to reunite. I want to get back with him. I want to play with him again. He may get exactly what he wants, because Cincinnati's going to say, hey, he's our franchise quarterback, whatever he wants, and not, think with the right mindset, if you will. Instead of doing what they need for the team, they'll do what they want for him, or rather what he wants.
I think his knee surgery is more than enough proof that sometimes you get what you need, not what you want.
I 100% agree.
But it's not just Cincinnati that has issues with offensive line. There's a lot of teams in the league, and it's probably the most efficient I've seen it in years that the offensive line is down. So I don't know. I mean, a good offensive lineman, they're hard to come by nowadays.
I agree. There's a lot of teams that could use an offensive lineman. That's the truth. But
yeah, and the draft gets really interesting when Miami picks because Miami can do a plethora of things based on what happens in front of them. They can take Pitts, Chase, Waddle. Waddle is apparently a big name now for them. Or they could trade back, and there's a lot of teams that could trade up and jump there, like the Broncos, Cowboys. There's a lot of teams that could jump up and take that spot that could get Lance, that could get Micah Parsons, like the Cowboys, jump in front of the line. So there's a lot of things that the Dolphins will be able to dictate the draft when it gets to 6. And then the Patriots could jump in somewhere
wouldn't surprise me.
the middle there at about maybe 8, where they could end up taking a quarterback if one is there.
So you heard the recent news. You heard the recent news that New England's trying to make a deal with Carolina to move all the way up to the 8th spot because for some reason Matt Rule is sold on Carolina being his future quarterback.
I don't know. I don't get it. I'm with you. I don't know. But I gotta ask about this.
I love it. Jigsaw falling into place. And if, and I'm using the word if San Francisco passes up on Justin Fields for some odd reason, I believe the hoodie has his quarterback of the future. And who better than mentor Justin Fields than Cam Newton? Similar situation, 2011. Jake Locker, Blaine Gabbert, better quarterbacks than Cam Newton. Wrong. Justin Fields was the second best quarterback for the longest time behind Trevor Lawrence. And now for some odd reason that can't be explained because the numbers are on his side, he's now the 4th-5th best quarterback.
I was going to say he's 4th or 5th now.
When did this happen? When did they do that at? In 2019, he threw for 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. His only loss was against Clemson last play of the game. He's ran for 15 touchdowns and 854 yards rushing in 2 years starting at Ohio State. For some odd reason, he couldn't beat out Jake Fromm, but I think Jake Fromm had the right look, and that's why Georgia went with him. Justin Fields has one of the best deep balls I've seen in a very long time. Justin Fields is the complete package. Arguably,
he's great.
A better quarterback than Sunshine. I just don't see where the hate comes from, and I will fight anyone who tries to dissect and say that Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Justin Fields. Excuse me. Alabama has the best offensive line, defensive line, track stars at wide receiver, and a bully at running back. You give me those weapons, I'll throw 3,000 yards for you. I'm telling you. So I don't want to hear this Mac Jones hype. Mr. Pollock, I respect you for the fact that you work for ESPN, but you need to take a Visine or a NyQuil or something. Your take was completely wrong. Mac Jones was a product of a system where everyone succeeded because it's a powerhouse.
All right, so I got a question for you quickly. I don't mean to cut you off, but would you say that Mac Jones is similar to what we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo? He was put in a perfect offense. It was great for him. But the offense itself was fantastic. When Garoppolo was on the Patriots, they were a powerhouse. I mean, anybody could succeed, it felt like, with what they had. Do you think it's kind of the same thing? And that's why, Garoppolo is not so great. I mean, he's okay, but not great like what we saw when he started those few games in New England.
I see Mac Jones as a potential bust. Listen to me now. I'm not saying he doesn't have the chance to be a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think Alex froze.
You have
losing him.
I thought that was just me.
I'm thinking Mac Jones will do better than freezing at the moment.
He reminds me of AJ McCarron. Mac Jones kind of reminds me of
that's a
AJ
very
McCarron.
That's a very good comparison.
Well, it's a good comparison in terms of
That's an insult to AJ.
Because McCarron got a lot of hype coming out. Not
it's a good
not nearly as
comparison
much, but
in terms of play style. However, if you're trying to compare him to AJ McCarron, he's got to be running for the hills right now because AJ McCarron, complete bust.
oh, that's my point.
No,
That's
I know,
my point.
but I was saying if you're comparing the way they play and they look, all that, agreed. It's a great comparison. But if you want to look at careers, if I'm Mac Jones, I'm running for the hills right now.
Well, that's the great thing about the draft. We all have opinions of where who's going to be what, and then we're right sometimes, but most of the time we're wrong.
Yeah.
Can you tell me something that Mac Jones does better than Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I can name one thing for each person. He's got better hair than Trevor Lawrence because I think that hair is disgusting.
I don't know about that. Trevor Lawrence got some nice lettuce.
Not a fan of that. And if we're talking about his skin color, that's the other thing that apparently isn't right because that's what people seem to care about, right, Alex? And I know you agree. I'm not making fun of you. I'm being serious. That's it.
No, that's what he insinuated.
So, yes, it won't and can't be used against me. You said it. I didn't.
Wow.
Hey, I'm just saying what I know you're definitely thinking.
But that argument is so old, it's so outdated. It really is a horrible argument as far as why you would want to draft somebody at this point.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's what I'll say though. I'll leave it at this, and then we can move on to another topic because there's a lot to talk about in the NFL and other sports. Who runs the NFL? Old white men. They're stuck in their ways. They're all the same. And I'm not trying to be racist or generalize people. It's just the truth. It's the same people that run the country that has problems at times, right? It's all the same. All the same types of people run football, run baseball, run hockey, run everything. It's almost always older white men. Just saying. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Another thing I want to talk about NFL, John, you started to bring it up, Julio Jones. We got to talk about it because I don't know what to say. I mean, what I'm hearing that people are willing to give up for him or are projected to possibly give up for him, I don't know that he's worth it. It's not against Julio, but he's an aging receiver. It's a big gamble to take on, to take him on because the truth is he could turn into what we saw with A.J. Green this year by this next season. You get, you could easily, Father Time catches up with him super easily, and then he sucks. And that could really bite a team in the butt.
The last couple of years, he's been hurt so much.
Exactly.
He's 32 years old, but he's got a lot of juice left in the tank. Guys, it's not long ago. A healthy Julio Jones is a terrorist on that football team.
Yeah, but the key word is healthy, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Yes.
How much do you want to give up for him for a guy that, it's a possibility? Are you willing to take that risk if you're under the team?
I would take a chance on Julio Jones. He's a matchup nightmare. 6'6", still runs a 4.5 40. Excellent hands. I mean, he's crafty. Yeah, a healthy Julio Jones, I'll take him in a heartbeat.
Well, that's the whole thing. You got a healthy Julio Jones when it's.
I don't know that you are.
I mean, but I can't blame the Falcons. If I'm the Falcons, I want to blow up the whole thing and restart because they just don't win.
I agree.
Well, they're not trying. They're not trying to blow it up. They can't afford their cap. They can't situation.
They can't afford to sign their current draft class.
They don't want to get rid of him. Arthur Blank.
It's rough.
Arthur Blank said going into the offseason that Julio and Matt Ryan are the two guys that are staying. They're not going anywhere. But when cap hits and you have cap problems, you got to figure out a way to maneuver it or get rid of people, even if it's Julio Jones.
No, I guess
so that's why.
The way they performed year after year, might as well just start over. Get what you can for them and build. Because they're not going to win anything this year. Somebody who wants Julio, get what you can for him. That's what the league's about, winning. What good is it to have a mediocre team? They're not even good enough to be mediocre at this point, so might as well do something.
I mean,
Mr. Shearer, you remember when we spoke candidly last year and you interviewed me and you thought I was bold when I said that Atlanta was going to have a losing record? And I caught a little bit of slack for that. Here we are 362 days later, and they went 4-12 like I predicted. I can't find an Atlanta Falcon fan to save my life. They avoid me like the plague. But
I could find one for you. I could find one.
You done scared Bryce off.
Wow.
Bryce is my only Falcons fan that I know of.
Well,
He loves it so much he has that show.
That defense is the problem. They keep trying to make moves on offense. The defense is the problem.
I agree.
They're not getting enough push when it comes to the running game. They are only ahead of Jacksonville when it comes to the amount of sacks that they don't produce. That secondary is atrocious. It truly, really is. And I'm glad Neal got out of there because he was hardly healthy. And then when he was healthy, him and the linebacker Deion Jones were the only ones tackling. So, yes.
Grady Jarrett.
Yeah. And Grady Jarrett half of the time because he took plays off too. They need to focus on defense and not offense. If they pass up on Pitts and they don't get Sewell, they need to make a splash. I'm thinking maybe Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn.
Well, I think if that's going to be the case, maybe they trade back because with the number 4 pick, you could probably acquire an extra, maybe a second round or a third round. Even if it's a low pick, it's it's something at least, right? Yeah, a little draft capital. And if they trade back to, let's say, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there, they could probably still get a good guy like that easily.
Well,
those guys will still be around.
Caleb Farley is expected to fall into the second round because of him having 3 back surgeries since 2009. So the Falcons realistically could steal him at the beginning of the second round if he's still there because of his history of back surgeries. And Caleb Farley is just about as good as those cornerbacks you just mentioned. He just has had the injury problems. So if Atlanta really wants a cornerback and they still want one of these top tier guys at 4, they can go 4 and then hope for Farley to be there, whenever they enter the second round, which is a possibility because there's been a lot of talk of him sliding because of these injuries. So that's always a possibility for Atlanta too. I mean, that's risky, but Farley's a fantastic player when healthy as well.
See, if I'm the Falcons, I'm thinking honestly, I think the idea of going for defense, absolutely, Alex, I agree. But I think at that point, you trade back because honestly, if you want to get those guys, give someone else the number 4 because, I mean, yeah, you could get a guy like J.C. Horn at number 4, but you could also probably get him closer. You're not
gonna pick J.C. Horn at 4. It's just not happening.
Right.
You don't pick
I'm saying, obviously, you can get him there. He's not going to be gone at 4. There's no shot.
Like the Giants.
But you could also move back to around number 10 or so, and he'll definitely still be there. I would say he'd likely still. I would say a strong certainty he'll still be there. I don't want to guarantee.
You can go to the middle of the pack, and you can go to the middle of the pack and probably get one of those guys. Still.
Exactly. And they could easily add draft capital by doing that. Even if they add, like I said, a second or a third rounder, they could still get exactly like John, like you said. They could then get another, defensive player with their first pick in the second round, and then possibly if they have a second pick in the second round, maybe they go for a lower tier offensive player if they're so hell-bent on going for offense. If that's, all they can think to do. They could still get their need and get a want.
I have a question for you guys, a little bit off the beaten path. Everybody's looking at the skill position and not the trenches. What team needs to pass up on the skill position and get an offensive lineman?
Oh, there's a bunch. I could go through a whole list.
The Cincinnati Bengals. Well, we mentioned the Bengals.
We mentioned the Bengals, but there's more than that. I'm thinking the New York Giants.
I absolutely agree.
Going to New York Giants, and I'm thinking,
I hate that everybody does.
Southside Coleman, Kenny Galladay. I like Darius Slayton, and you still have Sterling Shepard. You don't need a wide receiver. You know what you need?
Agree.
Protection for Danny Dimes. I like Rashawn Slater as their pick at the 11th spot for the New York Giants.
Alex, I could not agree more. John, I don't mean to cut you off. Alex, it's like you read my mind because every time anybody has said anything other than either defense, which I'd be okay with, I'd live with that. I could live with it, or offensive line, I have been I've been so irate because, go get a receiver. But we don't need one. We have enough. Evan Ingram has his problems, but you can put him on the field. We also just signed Kyle Rudolph, veteran presence. He'll be good enough. It's fine. But the more important thing is, if we're not protecting Daniel Jones, it won't matter if I put Megatron, Julio Jones, Randy Moss, and Jerry Rice all on the field. It won't matter. Why? If he doesn't have time to throw the ball to these guys, it will never make a difference. So, Alex, I agree completely. They're probably one of the biggest teams that need because their offense is getting there. Saquon, if he's healthy, he's a great running back, but you got to have a line to give him holes and get him, to allow him to get space, right? Daniel Jones has the potential to at least be better. I'm not saying he's going to be great, but I'm sure with what he's got, he could be a decent quarterback. I mean, I think most guys with the amount of weapons he would have could probably be a decent quarterback, pretty okay. Even if he's not great, it'll be better. But if you don't protect him, he's just going to be on the floor again, and it's not going to matter. And he's never going to develop because his biggest reason for not developing, he has no time. He's freaking out all the time.
David Carr.
But that makes sense. So we know the Giants aren't going to do that because, like we said, the Jets don't make any sense. The Giants have now fallen into that where they knew they needed offensive line help for the last 4 or 5 years.
More than that, but yeah.
And they haven't addressed it. I know. Why would I have any hope as a Giant fan?
Well, that's not true. They have. Last year they did. And Eric Flowers a couple of years ago.
Last year was the first year where
Eric Flowers was a disaster for you.
But they tried.
They made an effort, which they haven't really done.
No.
They've been horrible, and it's on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line, where they've had issues.
The defensive line's at least improving now. Like at least it's better. And the defense as a whole was improving.
Last year was better than it's been in years. But no, it's better than it was in years.
It's still terrible though.
Yeah,
still terrible.
I don't know.
And Gettleman is the type of guy. Gettleman's an egomaniac, so he's gonna wanna show off. He's gonna want to go and get a weapon. It's what Gettleman does.
Well, I mean, look what he did with Daniel Jones. He didn't have to draft him when he did, and he went ahead and got him. The guy he does things his way, and they haven't worked.
Just to put in perspective how bad the offensive line was, they were the 4th worst line in terms of their quarterback got sacked the most. The only guys ahead of him, Carson Wentz, who got sacked 50 times, Deshaun Watson, who got sacked 49, and Russell Wilson, who got sacked 47, Daniel Jones right behind them at 45 times. The difference was 2 of those 3 guys ahead of him at least were great quarterbacks and can actually make plays out of the pocket.
Yeah, they're scramblers. They're scramblers,
exactly.
so they create
so that's
sacks.
The difference. Exactly.
Right, they create sacks. So
exactly.
Without a doubt.
And Carson Wentz, sucks. So.
Look, and I'll say this. I think if Daniel Jones had time to develop and was a veteran, he might be able to make a little bit better plays outside the pocket. I'm not saying he'd be as great as Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. That would be outlandish. But he would be better. He is a good mobile quarterback. He just hasn't had the right time to develop, and that's part of the problem.
He's the second fastest quarterback in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson.
There you go.
He just trips over his own feet sometimes.
All right, it happened one time. One time. John, your quarterback got benched how many times throughout the regular season?
My guy never tripped over his own feet.
I would rather trip than get benched.
About getting benched because that was just bad coaching. That's not how you run a team, and
I agree.
I'm convinced they'll mess up the draft because of it because they have no foresight.
Yeah, 2 only have 14 touchdowns and 5 picks.
That's right.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Let's bench him.
That's not his fault.
No.
That's the organization's fault. The team you root for, the coach.
I agree.
Yeah, well, that coach went 10-6, so I can't argue with the results.
Did he win the Super Bowl? So next.
No.
10-6, that's not his fault. 10-6 is pretty darn good.
Flashback about 4 years ago, Miami was a dumpster fire. running through coaches like we run through girlfriends. They couldn't keep anybody on defense. Offensive line was atrocious. Quarterback play, they couldn't keep Tannehill. They were horrible. Nobody wanted that Miami job. Brian Flores went in, wrecked shop, fixed Miami, and now they're a contender. Guys, don't look at Miami like they're a joke. They're for real.
And what they did to New England in the last game of Flores' first year, where they beat New England in New England, knocked Brady back to the wild card, and then Brady got his ass beat by Tennessee. Don't forget that was Brian Flores. Brady doesn't lose when he gets a bye. Brady didn't get a bye in the last year where there was two teams getting a bye because the Dolphins went in and beat the Patriots in New England, which knocked them back to the wild card. So don't forget that.
Yes. How often does Miami beat New England in New England? Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
Doesn't happen.
That's a fair point.
But he also doesn't know how to manage a rookie quarterback. Why start the guy if you're going to bench him in a close game? That's where you learn. That's
look,
not how
Flores basically
stop defending bad coaching.
That was basically his first season of coaching, because the first season they
So we're taking away the win in New England?
They purged the roster and had nothing, and they still won 5 games with nothing after selling the entire roster. That's impressive.
So we're going to give them the credit for the New England game, but not count the year. And then we're going to say it was his first year coaching, so it's okay.
They sold the entire roster.
JB, he just needs to fit it to make his points work. That's all.
But they sold the entire roster.
The logic doesn't work.
They tanked on purpose.
I understand that. And they you know what?
And still won 5 games.
Because he was a good enough coach, but he doesn't know how to manage a young quarterback. You don't do that.
I agree.
But it's not
his good coach.
So how are you going to say it's not his fault? He's the decision maker.
He's a good coach who's too focused on winning. He wasn't focused on his future.
It's fault for not knowing how to run an offense.
That's so.
Did you watch those games?
The head coach. The head coach is responsible. You could fire a
head coach is not. The head coach is not responsible for what the offensive coordinator calls. That's not the head coach's job.
But he gets final say.
No, he does not. He actually doesn't have any say during a game unless they make it his call. It's not his call to do anything with the offensive play calling. That's offensive coordinator's job.
I have to disagree with you. Because Adam Gase you said the offensive coordinator and the head coach. They have to be in unison, because if someone makes a bad play call or decides to run a third down play on fourth down, that's a miscommunication. So
but that's not the head coach's call when they make the play calls. That's the offensive coordinator's job. That's the reason they hire him, is for him to make those decisions. Yeah, I'm sure they run things by the head coach. I'm sure, you got to talk to your head coach, but ultimately it's the offensive coordinator's job.
If you're running it by the head coach, that means
trust your guy.
If you're running it by the head coach, that means head coach gets some kind of say.
But he has to take care of the entire team. He doesn't have time to just worry about what the offense is doing. He has to worry about the entire team and the length of the game.
Yeah, well, that's half the team.
Actually, there's 3 phases to a team.
It's really a third. I agree.
There you go.
I took it back.
I'm so confused by this logic of this argument.
I'll make it real simple, JB. John is saying this. He doesn't want to put any blame on Brian Flores. So because of that, he's twisting words to make it fit to his points.
Hold on. I have a question. So would you consider the Washington football team, did they have a winning season last year?
No.
But they went to the playoffs. They won their division. They almost beat Tom Brady.
That's not what defines a winning season. A winning season is A, a winning record, and B, making the playoffs. It's a combination of the both. That's what I define as a winning season. It has to be both. It's not one or the other. But they didn't have a winning record.
They got the division.
Did you have a problem with Ron Rivera rotating quarterbacks in and out?
Yeah.
No.
Did you say one damn thing? Did you say one damn thing about Ron Rivera rotating coaches in and out? Did JB
No, because they suck.
Jake?
And they were,
No, because it wasn't a
because there wasn't a rookie
quarterback.
quarterback that I was worried about.
It does not. It doesn't
Dwayne
matter.
Haskins or Alex
It
Smith.
does matter.
It doesn't
It's totally
matter.
different scenarios.
There's a young quarterback
Who is the
in
face of
Dwayne
the
Haskins.
franchise?
Dwayne
Who is
Haskins
the
was
Dwayne
the
Haskins wasn't
franchise.
a rookie, though.
They
We're
gave
talking
up
about
on
a rookie.
Haskins already.
It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or 1 year pro.
They
He's a
gave
new
up on
guy.
Haskins.
But that's their fault. But they rotated guys. So
Wow.
So you didn't have a problem. You didn't have a problem with Ron Rivera rotating.
Hold on. I just said, hold on.
First year as a head coach in Washington, he did not like Haskins. That was not his guy.
Go back on the tape, and I said I had a problem with the switching of quarterbacks. I said yes when you asked it. Go back to the tape and watch it. I said yes.
But first of all, Haskins was not his guy. He didn't like him to begin with. He wasn't happy with his play. When you take over a team, that's fine.
Oh, okay. So that justifies it.
Flores was there when they drafted Tua.
Right.
He's the face of the franchise. You don't bench him after you start.
So was Dwayne Haskins.
No, he wasn't.
No.
You drafted
in that second year, he wasn't.
You drafted a guy 15th overall the year before. He's got to be the face.
Hold on.
It doesn't matter.
John, hold on. John,
let's be honest with each other. Daniel Snyder drafted Dwayne Haskins.
It's also true.
Let's make that absolutely perfectly clear. Daniel Snyder.
Right, but you don't give up on a quarterback into his second season. You don't just give up on a quarterback typically. You know what I mean? Like,
you have to understand that Dwayne Haskins was playing close to home.
Oh, I know. I know he's a bad quarterback. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying when you draft a quarterback and he's into his second year, you don't just give up on him that quick.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Dwayne Haskins did have some off-field issues that they were not too happy about.
No, I know. I'm not defending.
So hold up. But that plays into it because the situations are so different. First of all, Tua, rookie quarterback, they expect him to be franchise quarterback. At that moment, when the season starts, when they start the season, Tua is expected to be franchise quarterback. That's difference number one because by year two, I don't think anybody really believed Dwayne Haskins was still the franchise's future. I truly don't believe anybody was thinking that, at least at that moment. That's number one. Second of all, did Tua have off-field issues that we know of? Not that I can know.
Of course not.
Not that I can recall. Did Dwayne Haskins? Absolutely. So again, another factor that goes
going out with strippers without a mask on.
Hold on, that goes in.
That was the biggest thing.
Hold on, but that's another thing that leads to switching of a quarterback. The team is disciplining him
because you went out with strippers.
It's a safety issue. It's a safety issue. Not the point, though. It's not about what he did. It's about the fact that there was an issue. The team wasn't happy. The point I'm making is it's reasons that the quarterbacks were constantly switched. I'm not saying I agree with everything, but I'm just explaining the situation.
It was deeper than that.
Oh, absolutely.
The strippers were just a tipping point. Look, Ron Rivera had been battling cancer. I spoke with Mr. Rivera at the 2020 Combine, and I asked him about Haskins. And he said overall he was going to give Haskins a fair shake. And I believe he did. When you lose to the Baltimore Ravens, but you're talking about the 300 yards you threw in the locker room after a loss, that's not a good idea. When you're on the sideline celebrating the victory and you're not there to take the kneel down for the last 15 seconds, that's not a good look.
I was at that game.
When you get frustrated because your offensive line isn't protecting you, but you throw 3 interceptions in the game and yell at people like you're Tom Brady, it's not a good look. And then when you know about the COVID protocols, but you want to be an IG star, you get some strippers, okay? You're dysfunctional and you're immature. You don't deserve to be the franchise quarterback of the Washington football team.
I agree. So thank you for proving my point, though.
And see, my point is
there's more to it than trusting or not trusting his quarterback, like it was in Miami. Miami was a simple. I want to win. I'm not trusting my quarterback in this situation.
But everybody
in Washington, there were so many external factors, not including the fact that that Ron Rivera didn't seem to like him as a quarterback. it's hard to compare the two situations. It's apples to oranges at that point because one has a lot more factors to it than just I want to win. I don't trust my quarterback in this situation. There's a lot to it.
Why does Ron Rivera get more credit?
Ron Rivera wasn't there when he was drafted.
But why does Ron Rivera get all this credit for making the playoffs and turning the culture around? No, hold on. Because I've seen a lot in the media where he gets a lot of credit. They made the playoffs.
He was in the playoffs. He was in the playoffs.
It doesn't matter.
John, hold on. To your point, though, both coaches have gotten credit for turning the franchises around. Do not twist the word.
But why does Flores get more hate? And Ron Rivera gets all this love.
I don't Flores.
I will tell you why. I have
when Flores is done.
Coach, but he's a horrible decision maker with a rookie quarterback.
I will tell you two things, John. Number one, Ron Rivera beat cancer, so people were automatically going to fall in love with the story of him being the coach this year.
Yeah, so did Chuck Pagano, but Chuck Pagano sucked as a head coach.
Hold on. That's reason number one. I said reason number one. Listen. So people are going to buy into that year. Oh, everything he does that's good is amplified. Why? Because he just beat cancer. So everybody's extra excited about everything that he chooses to do. That's number one. Second of all, I lost my point because I was so busy trying to not talk about or to disagree with you, honestly. I lost my point. I'll be honest, I lost it.
It's all right.
Because we've used logic on this already. I think we're done. We're beating a dead horse.
My brain is like shutting down.
Listen, he's a good coach, but when it comes down to it, Tua is your future. He needs to get experience. You weren't winning the Super Bowl last year. That's maybe it's simple. Were you going to win this? Did you win the Super Bowl?
Maybe it's not him. Maybe it's Ross isn't sold on Tua. Because I've heard a lot of Ross. I've heard a lot of Ross not being sold on Tua.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
At least from all the Dolphins places, I get all the information.
But Flores is the one taking
I'm just telling you.
So
I've heard a lot of Ross. It's not necessarily Ross's decision at that point. It's you got to trust your new GM, your new head coach. You got to trust them to make the right decision. He might not necessarily be sold on him.
Do you think he's calling down from the owner's box saying bench the quarterback in the close game?
Owners don't typically do that, but sometimes when owners step in and they say, okay, you know what I mean? Like they whisper in somebody's ear and they say, okay, you got one more year. You know what I mean? Like I've heard a lot of Ross isn't.
The Steelers were going to blow the game against the Browns so that they could play the Browns next week. And we saw how that one turned out. I'm just going to move this along. So, anything else going on in the NFL, guys?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any big stories.
I want to talk to you guys about this and get your personal opinions on it. Buffalo Bills, Buffalo, New York. They have put a stipulation into the season ticket holders. We want you in Buffalo. We want the full capacity, but we want you vaccinated. And as long as you're vaccinated, you can be a season ticket holder and attend the games. How do you personally feel about NFL franchises mandating that you're vaccinated in order to attend football games?
Oh, it's awful.
Well, right now, I know for baseball, the Yankees and Mets, because I was looking to go to a game last week, you have to have a vaccination 2 weeks out or negative
COVID test.
In the last 3 days. And you know what? I get it.
JB, you kind of hit on the point I was going to make, funny enough. I don't love the entire idea of it. I think they should do exactly what you just said. I think that would be more fair because there are people that are just not comfortable getting the vaccine. John, I know you're one of them. And while I got it and I already have my second shot. Next week, I'm fully vaccinated. That was a personal choice I made. Not everybody is going to be that way. I think it should be exactly what JBU said that the Yankees and the Mets are doing, either or. Because honestly, it doesn't matter at that point. I understand the point of having the vaccine, and the whole point of them saying that is we don't want people that are sick or going to possibly be sick in our stadium. Understood. But if you make people get a COVID test and they show that they're negative, they should be able to come to each game. Now, I think they should have to get a COVID test before each game that they plan to attend and prove that it's a negative test because, again, it is a safety issue, and I completely agree and understand that. But I don't love that they're mandating a vaccine. That's a little bit too far. I think it should be either or. While I get it, I'm personally of the mindset that you should get the vaccine and be safe. Not everybody is of that mindset. It's a little bit, I think, unfair to say that's your only option to come to our games. I think there should be a separate option because not everybody is comfortable with it.
I'm not totally opposed to it. I mean, it's their stadium that they're selling the tickets. If that's what they want to have, they have the right to do it.
Absolutely.
You know, I kind of like the way it's being done in New York City. Even the Knicks and Nets are doing the same thing. COVID test or vaccine 2 weeks out. That's the way I would do it.
I agree.
I don't have a problem with the Bills doing it. They're costing themselves money because, you know, there's going to be people that can't get tickets because of that, but they have the right to do it, I believe. John?
Oh, you won't get my money. If that's the case where you force me to have a vaccine, you won't get my money. I won't be there, that's for sure. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people that won't go if you're forcing people to get a vaccine just so they can go to a sporting event. I'll just watch it from home, you know, for free and sit on my own couch and eat my own food and not pay $10 for, you know, this and that. No thanks. I'm good. Yeah, I'm not going to pay $10 for chicken tenders and fries. I can just eat at home and not have to deal with, you know, paying for $25 parking and going out of my way and all that. No thanks. I'm good. I'll just stay home.
$25 parking? Where are you parking?
Ah, man.
He's
it's
not
expensive
wrong.
to park.
JB.
That's a discount.
I was going to say.
Oh, if you go to baseball game.
You're at the lot way out there.
I was going to say, one of the bad lots.
Well, no, let me be completely honest with you. I am behind the scenes, but whenever I would go out and check a Tampa Bay game, yeah, parking's atrocious. I'd rather park in somebody's yard or neighborhood and throw them $10 than deal with stadium parking. It's horrible.
Getting out is even worse.
Getting out is even worse. Oh, it's awful.
The worst part. The worst part is, I'll never forget, this is a quick story. It was last year and a half ago, end of the 2019 season. I went to a Giants-Eagles game with my cousin. He's an Eagles fan, so we go together. It's raining at the end of the game. We are in the rain trying to find the car itself in the first place. Why I hate stadium parking. Finding your car at night in the rain was a nightmare. And then getting out of the lot sucked just as bad. It was terrible.
Yeah. Stadium parking is never fun.
It is the worst.
I went out to LA a couple of years ago, the Dodger-Yankee series. The Saturday game, it took us over 2 hours to get into the Dodger Stadium lot. Been to many Yankee playoff games.
I just take the train if I'm going to the Yankees.
No, we got to drive. Got to leave at 4 o'clock to get there for 8 o'clock first pitch, but, and it's, 10 miles for me, but,
Yeah, you're a lot closer.
It's like going to the bathroom at one of these events.
Oh, that's a nightmare
terrible.
Too. That's a nightmare too. But
not
anyway,
not enough toilet paper. Hell to the no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
All right. Do we have anything else for the NFL?
No, that's
actually yes. One last thing. Guys, we do realize that with the hiring, that the landscape of the NFL has changed. Jacksonville has been rumored to move to London, but the NFL is looking for expansion. I'm thinking they're going to have to add 2 because you don't want that misbalance from NFC to AFC. What 2 cities deserve new NFL franchises?
It's a good question.
James, I'll start with you. What 2 cities, AFC, NFC, deserve NFL franchises?
That's a great question. I mean, thinking about it, you got the team that moved to Vegas with the Raiders. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and it's tough. I mean,
what cities deserve it, or what cities deserve to lose it?
No, what cities deserve to get one?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, someone want to start? Because maybe that'll help me get thinking here. I feel on the spot.
It's hard.
Well, I asked the question. I have it in my mind, but I asked the question. Guys.
It's interesting that a state like maybe like Oklahoma doesn't have.
I was thinking about
a team,
them. I have to admit,
that's
Oklahoma City.
they love football over there.
Yeah, but they love college football.
Right, but they love football. They love football in general.
It could be an interesting one. I know it's not a big state, like, in terms of like probably a lot of people. Iowa? They're big on football. I know that. They're huge out there.
How about Portland? Would they want football?
Or maybe even Kentucky.
Nah, no Kentucky.
No Kentucky?
No.
I think you could sell them on
Portland's
football.
a good downtown area. There's a lot of people. They support the Blazers really well.
Could be a good one? Utah. Salt Lake City, Utah.
Well, there's nothing to do there.
That's exactly my point. Give them something to do.
And if you put a team in London, why not put a team in Mexico City or Toronto?
That's a good one. Mexico City would be interesting. Yeah.
If you're going to go international, you might as well take advantage of Canada or Mexico.
You might as well, yeah.
New Mexico, give a team back to St. Louis. Toronto, excellent spot.
You know what? New York needs teams. They don't have any teams.
John, shut up.
Wow. Joe, we're going to have a
Miami needs a team too.
That's going to come out of my mouth.
Miami's not a state.
New York is where the teams are, or you could say New York City.
No. They play in New Jersey, except for Buffalo. You missed on Buffalo. They play in New York. But I see what John was trying to say. He was being close.
No. He's just making fun of my team, and that's okay.
Well, I mean, they deserve to be made fun of. I
agree.
Doing half the time anyway.
That's true. All right. But, Alex, what were your two cities? You said New Mexico and Toronto?
All right. What two franchise?
Yeah, you. I said you. You said New Mexico and Toronto, right?
New Mexico deserves a franchise. I believe Portland would be an excellent spot for a franchise. St. Louis hasn't recovered since losing the Rams.
I would love St. Louis to have a team.
Was that?
I would love St. Louis to have a team again.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Those fans don't deserve to be treated how they were treated. They were loyal fans.
Stan Kroenke just sucked. He was terrible.
San Diego. Those fans got screwed. Those fans got screwed.
With two teams in LA, that's never going to happen.
I was going to say, California has enough teams as is.
Yeah, but San Diego got screwed. Those were some loyal fans. Just the stadium was a dump.
Pats fans were loyal.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't blame them. What two cities would you take teams away from because their teams suck? Hey, my
Miami
team doesn't
and Jacksonville.
suck. I would take away from Detroit. I would take that team away from Detroit.
Nah. I mean, they suck.
Detroit and Jacksonville.
Let me ask the question. Is it based on because the team sucks? Is that the criteria?
Yeah. Yeah, the team has just been so bad for so long.
Honestly,
done
New
anything
York,
that
the Jets, seriously, they're terrible.
You can never do that because of the market. Because of the market.
Got two teams there.
You can't do it because of the market.
I would have taken
away Detroit. If that's the case, why not get rid of Cleveland? Bro,
nobody cares about Cleveland.
The Baltimore Ravens and won not one but two titles.
I know.
Cleveland City is cursed.
That's true.
Yeah, but they actually are starting to turn it around.
Yeah, but those fans are loyal, and they're turning it around.
Browns fans are some of the most loyal fans in the world.
Yeah.
They are.
I would take it away from Detroit and Jacksonville.
That's fair.
Or Jacksonville and Houston.
No, I wouldn't do that to Detroit. Detroit deserves their team. They're a long time.
It's about the only thing they have left.
I would, maybe Houston.
Houston's not a bad idea.
And Jacksonville. Two AFC South teams.
Forget y'all. Y'all mad. Y'all mean.
All right. So I think that's it for the NFL.
Alex, would you relocate to Jacksonville? To London? If Jags moved, would you relocate to London?
I would be a private prostitute if I went to London. Absolutely. On the regular throw some shrimps on the Barbie, and you would see me rotate between blondes, brunettes, and reds.
I have a question. How comes you have not gotten into the AEW game since Jags are all in with AEW and stuff? How comes you're not in with the AEW game? How comes you haven't asked him about that? Come on, you got to get on that. I want to see you like in a feud with like Cody Rhodes or something.
I would whoop Cody's ass.
There we go.
That's the fire I needed for tonight.
I try to stay professional and make sure it's about football. AEW wrestling is about fun and entertainment. You got to be able to separate the two.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So I think that's it for our football, though. So there is one topic, John. We'll get into baseball. I don't know what you got to talk about, but there's one thing I have to bring up because I was personally really upset about this. I didn't like it, and I want to get your takes on it, and I want to talk about it. We can debate about it if we disagree. The other day, it was, I want to say over the weekend, April 20. Yeah, so yesterday. Yesterday, actually. Excuse me. I take that back. I believe it was yesterday. Madison Baumgardner throws a 7-inning no-hitter versus the Braves. However, it doesn't count as a no-hitter because it was part of a back-to-back doubleheader. That's why it was only 7 innings, not the standard 9. Baseball refuses to call it a no-hitter because he didn't play 9 innings. If the game had gone 9 innings, had it gone to extra innings, and it had been a full 9 innings, and he played the 9 innings, it would have counted as a no-hitter. But because it only stopped at 7 and he threw a no-hitter, it didn't. I'll start with John. What?
I don't see a problem with it. A baseball game is 9 innings. Let's do this slowly. How many innings have been in a baseball game since they started playing baseball? Okay. 7 innings is not 9 innings.
All right, so hold on. So I'll throw you a question based on that.
Participation trophies. That's not how this works. No-hitter is
it his fault?
9.
Hold on.
innings.
So let me throw a question to you then. Sports like football are expanding their season's length. It's now longer. Should records not count for those? Should those sorts of things not count because it's different now? Because it's something out of the player's control, but now it's a longer season?
This is unprecedented what's happened, but the games, originally it was 14 games. Then it moved to 16.
Right.
The records didn't really matter. It was all about value and quality of talent. You want talent for doing less work. NFL is doing more work. You see how I used your question against you? 17 games is more than 14 games.
But quality.
So while you might have a running back that has more yards in one particular season, everybody knows it's because it's 17 games, not 16. You want to give
why not do the same thing with this no-hitter? Why not say he threw a 7-inning no-hitter and not a full 9? Put a little asterisk. Give him the no-hitter, but make it clear.
No asterisk.
No.
It's not his fault.
No.
Listen, I say with sports, you can only play who's on your schedule. He can only pitch 7 innings if the game's only 7 innings. It's not his fault.
Exactly.
It's a no-hitter.
So let me ask you this. Does a no-hitter count in baseball when a pitcher pitches 6? It's a 9-inning game. Pitcher pitches 6 innings, gives up no hits. 3 relievers come in to combine to give up. Hold on.
Oh, I'm holding.
Okay, say that pitcher comes in for.
This is going to be as good as the Flores.
The pitcher comes in for 7.
Let's go.
Pitcher comes in for 7 innings. Okay, give him 7 innings like Baumgardner. Then the 3 relievers come in to combine for 2 innings, no hits. Does that count as a no-hitter for that starting pitcher?
No,
or those relievers?
No.
No.
Actually,
they gave up no hits. They gave up no hits.
Yes, the team gets a no-hitter.
But do the pitchers get a no-hitter in the record books?
John,
no, they don't.
Well, technically, yes, if you're saying the team, because then the team goes down and those pitchers are included on said team as part of a combined no-hitter. So yes.
In the no-hitter books, when you look at the number of no-hitters all time, that doesn't get added in.
Okay.
Question.
There's a difference.
So there you go.
Hold on, but there's a difference.
Was it a complete game?
It was a complete game. It was 9 innings.
So,
9 innings is a game.
Was Baumgartner's game complete? Yes or no?
It doesn't count to me as a complete
Was it
game.
So then
No, 7 is not a
How is it
complete
not a
game.
complete game?
Then the game
It's not
shouldn't count.
9.
So hold on.
Throw
So then the
whole
game
out
shouldn't
of the
count.
record
They
book.
shouldn't get the win. Is that what you're saying?
Still a game. They still have to play the
No!
game.
No, it's either a
No.
complete game or it's not. It's not both.
Well, then why don't the no hitters count when it's a
Did he
combined
start-
no hitter?
Did
They
he
do.
start from the
They
Did he
don't.
start at the beginning of the
They
game
do.
and pitch to the end of the game?
They don't count in the no hitters books. If you go
You
into the
asked
no
why don't
hitters,
they count? They do count, just not. in
they
that.
don't count. If you if
No, so
Baumgardner
I'll tell
pitches,
you why it doesn't. Hold on. You ask why it doesn't count. I'll tell you because the pitcher didn't start the game and end the game. That's why he did not complete the game personally with a no hitter. That's why. Guess what? Baumgardner started the game in the first inning, ended the game when they told him the game was over with a no hitter. He allowed no hits through the entirety of the game. He can't do anything about it.
He couldn't
a
go out
game
for
needs to be
anything that doesn't
9
exist.
innings.
No,
He
not
couldn't-
according
well,
to Major
then-
League Baseball. Major League Baseball sets the rules, not Madison Baumgardner.
Agree.
Yeah, well, a game should be 9 innings. That's how it's
I
always
agree.
been,
It should
and
be.
it doesn't
but
count.
It doesn't.
That-
It counts in
hold
the
on.
standings, doesn't it?
Guess
Exactly.
what?
It
Guess
counts as a
what?
win. It counts in the standings. If it counts as a complete game, he threw a complete game. He threw a no-hitter through the game he could play. It's not his fault he couldn't pitch 2 more innings. I understand those 2 innings
It
are some
doesn't
of the
count.
hardest innings, but it doesn't matter.
So does it count in the record books as a win?
It does.
Okay.
So how can it be a win? It wasn't 9 innings.
That's just how it is. I mean, I don't make these rules, but the no hitters don't count unless you pitch 9 innings.
Maroon. Oh my God, John. How does that make sense? He
Okay.
pitched from
Look,
the start
I
of the
don't
game to
make
the end of the
these
game.
rules.
John.
I
John,
don't make
John.
I don't make a guy start on second base
John.
in the 10th inning of a
John,
game. I don't make
last-
that happen.
Hold on, John. Last season,
You're
the
acting like
Dodgers-
I make this
John,
stuff happen.
You
John.
make it happen. You.
John, last year,
Oh, okay, I'm the rule setter.
the Dodgers
You.
won the
Yeah,
World
you.
Series in a shortened season. Does their championship count?
Not to me. Not in my
Why
record
not?
book. You want it in a shortened season. Go in it in a
I'm
full
gonna-
season.
I'm going to lose my mind. They won a championship. How does it not count?
Doesn't count to me. Asterisk doesn't count.
Right. Hold on. But you just said it. Put an asterisk. That's exactly what I said. That's
It doesn't
exactly
count.
what I'm saying.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't
my
exist.
John,
It
That's
doesn't
why
exist.
when it doesn't count,
Championship.
it doesn't exist.
you just said it doesn't count. Put an asterisk, which implies that yes, they get it, but put the asterisk saying it was a
It'll get
shortened
it.
season.
It'll get it to
It's
you, but in
the
my mind,
same thing.
in my mind, they get nothing.
Baumgartner won a game. He completed a game. He threw 0 hits through the entirety of a single baseball game. Therefore, it is a
Doesn't-
no-hitter.
It's not a no hitter.
How many hits did he give up?
It's the same thing as
Hang on.
going 7 innings and then your relievers finishing the game and nobody gives up a hit. Doesn't count.
John,
Just
John, you
doesn't.
see A Few Good Men, John?
Huh?
You ever see the movie A Few Good Men?
No.
Okay. That's your assignment, to watch that movie.
All right.
I want you to be like Tom Cruise. Next week, I'm going to question you. All you're going to do is answer the question.
Is that the one with Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Okay. So let's go back to it. Did he pitch from start to end? The whole game. We'll call it a complete game
In
just for
Baseball,
terms.
it doesn't count. You need to pitch 9 innings to get the complete game and to
But
get
it's
the no.
not his fault that he couldn't pitch 9 innings.
I don't care. Wah. Go cry me a river, Baumgardner. This is
What is he
this
supposed
is the
to
major
do?
leagues.
Go play 2 innings that
Oh
he
my
can't?
Tell him to
You
cry
know
me
what?
a river.
On my
Wah.
TV, he pitched to 2 innings. There was no batters. They were all strikeouts. He got 6 strikeouts.
He
I'm
can
gonna-
cry me a river.
I'm going to create a new baseball record book, and he's got a no-hitter.
He's got
It's going to be the J.B. Ellis Book of Baseball Records.
It's a no-hitter. He threw no hits, or he allowed no hits through the entirety of a game.
Hey, whatever your record book says, good for you, man. My record
Listen.
book,
You want to kick guys out of the Hall of Fame. I'm making my own record book. What the hell?
Might as well. That and we're starting a food podcast,
Look,
which is
Harold
next.
Baines doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Oh, take that to my grave. He doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
John, you take that to your grave and no one will care. I'm sorry to say.
I don't care.
You know what? I'll trade you.
As long as I know.
We can get rid of Harold if we give him a no-hitter, because
I'm cool
that
with
makes
that.
more sense to me.
And
He gave
Barry
up no
Bonds
hits
doesn't
for the
belong in the Hall
entire
of
game.
Fame.
He's
Why
not.
should it Wait,
He's not part of
whoa.
this conversation.
Why
Excuse
should
you.
it Barry Bonds go into the Hall of Fame? He was one of the greatest players of
I know
his era.
exactly. Hold on, JB. I'll answer the
Cheater.
question for you. Exactly.
Cheater.
He used drugs. So did like every
Get
other
out of
player.
here, cheater.
I could go down a list.
No,
and
we
say
can't
drugs,
confirm
drugs.
that.
Okay, so
Can't. You can't confirm
Okay.
that.
steroids do not make you good at
Barry
baseball.
Bonds was a Hall of Famer long before steroids.
He looked
Exactly.
like me. He looked like me, and then he didn't look like me.
He never looked like you. Trust me.
He looked
Nothing
like me when he
personal.
started.
Never looked like you. He was taller and a lot more muscle. Nothing personal to John. He was a major league athlete.
Uh-huh.
He was not. He was
was
not
a
as big as he
stick.
ended up. He was never that small, John.
He was not a small guy.
I mean, granted, his hat size got bigger as he got older. Like, telltale side of things. But
He became Popeye with spinach.
no,
overnight.
Barry, the incredible bulk.
Okay,
anyway.
yeah.
He became the incredible Barry Hulk.
But I mean, he still was one of the greatest of his era.
John, what do you have to say to this? Because this is probably my favorite comment of all time.
Look, we're not on the food section.
Oh, we're getting there. John, we got 2 sections we got to go over quickly. Actually, 3, because I want to talk a little NHL. There's something going on. But 2 sections we have to go over. First of all, John, I hope you did your homework. Punchable face. Who's this week? Who's number 1 this week? Who is it?
It's got to be Julian Edelman with all this talk. It's got to be
Oh.
Julian Edelman's the most punchable face.
He's not a
I mean,
punchable face.
he's not a Hall of
on.
Famer, and he's an easy punchable
My
face.
question is, where is the graphic with like somebody getting punched in the face for this segment?
I don't have a graphic. Nobody told me to make a graphic. I'm not a
Well,
graphics guy.
You were supposed to have pictures.
I'm
so
just
James
the
could post
face and the voice of radio. That's all.
Oh,
it. But
okay.
this is video.
This is video.
This is radio,
Hey,
man.
guys, do you want the number? You want the number?
Huh?
Huh?
Guys.
Yeah.
Say this.
Hey, you guys.
Let me say this. 6,022 yards and touchdowns make famer.
You're cutting out, man.
You're cutting out.
That Eagles stat behind Jerry with gee.
I heard Jerry Rice.
Oh,
I heard
you
Jerry
were in the
Rice. That's
playoffs
about it.
10 years straight, 7 Super Bowl. I mean, hypocrites that are trying to Hall of Famer.
This is like.
I'm trying to piece it together.
I'm like hearing nothing.
Hines Ward.
Jerry
Hey,
Rice.
good
Hines
guys.
Ward.
Jerry Rice, Hines Ward. I've heard that.
Before
We got Randy Moss.
putting Julian Hall of Fame. Get that.
Julian.
I heard Hines Ward, Jerry Rice, and Julian.
The password is Edelman.
But in all seriousness, John, he's not that punchable. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
you look at that face. You just want to punch him right in the teeth.
Oh,
Randy
That's
Moss.
what you want to do.
Really?
Yeah, you
I
look
thought
at Julian Edelman.
I
Just
thought
want
you were
to.
going to do better. I'm disappointed with this segment.
No, he said number 1 this week. We're all talking about him going to the Hall of Fame.
come on.
Oh,
was gonna
that's
be-
easily
He's not that
punch him
punchable.
right in the square in the nose.
I've seen
Give
worse.
Raccoon eyes by breaking the nose. That's what you want to do.
John, I've seen
Easily.
worse. I don't know about that.
Hey,
Who's
look,
number
everybody-
2?
Buy a ticket.
Who's number 2? Because I want to get off of this one.
What's that, Alex? I didn't hear what he said.
Nothing.
Alex is having technical difficulties right now.
Happens. Anyway,
I said the only way he's going to the Hall has a ticket to watch.
Agreed. I actually heard that.
Can you hear me, guys?
We hear you
Yeah, I
now.
can hear you.
Can you hear me?
He has less touchdowns and yards in the regular season in his career than Deion Branch.
Okay. The only
Wow.
way the Hall of
Alex is like Thanos. His face is like disappeared. I can't.
We
it's like,
banished Alex. Oh, he's back. Nope.
Oh, we lost him completely. All right, John, did you have any other more punchable faces this week or no?
that was my one punchable face this week.
All right, so I got two more things I definitely want to go over, and JB, we can talk some NBA if you got some stuff, and we will have time.
We're going to get to the last part of John's homework when we do that. Definitely.
All right, now we got to get to our food section because everybody I know is waiting for this. This week's quick debate. Hopefully we all agree on this. The better cookie. The original Oreo, not double stuffed, not any of the original Oreo versus the original Chips Ahoy, not the soft batch, not the blue, little box or bag. You know what I'm talking about? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Not fair. This is really not fair.
I'll share my screen to show exactly which ones I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. The original Oreo on the left and the original Chips Ahoy on the right. It's quick, easy. Which one's better?
Go ahead, John. You can start it out because I have a feeling
this is hard. This is a hard one, man. Because like if the Chips Ahoy is like when that one came out, is that one like soft or is that one like hard? I'm not sure because I don't remember that far back.
The soft batch is like the red one, and that one's softer. This is a little bit harder. It's like a regular cookie.
It's like a regular cookie.
I remember as a kid liking the Chips Ahoy more. Like I like Oreo, but I never loved Oreo. I probably would go Chips Ahoy because I never loved.
Before we get into the debate, JB, what's your pick? I just want to hear it. Oreo, absolutely.
I never loved Oreo. I liked it, but
Oreos are so versatile, though. You can eat them in like 5 different ways.
Everybody says you tear them apart, but do you ever? I mean, you normally just shovel them. I shovel them in my mouth.
I always split mine. Oh, I don't. Absolutely.
I just shovel them all in my mouth.
No, you got to dunk them. Oreos and Chips Ahoy are both dunkable.
That's true too. But as Oreo said,
I don't like my cookies soggy.
Now the question.
Hold on. If we go back to Oreo, hold on. You go back to Oreo. You're talking about dunking, right? Hold on. I want you to read me something. What does that packaging say on the Oreo? Can you read that?
I can't. I can't read it.
Let's see if I zoom in.
Cookie. Oh, Milk's favorite cookie.
Milk's
favorite cookie. I rest my case with what JB said.
But
it's perfect for milk.
I don't like a soggy cookie. Like
you don't have
to
make it that soggy. You don't have to make it soggy.
But it gets soggy. It starts to fall apart in your milk.
If you leave it in too long, the right dip is a little bit milk. Just got a little milk on it, but it retains that crunch.
Yes.
And then if you do that, then your hands get all messy.
You can use a fork.
I don't really like. You can't eat. Whoa! You cannot eat a cookie with a fork. You cannot do that.
Have you never seen this?
No.
Okay,
you can stick a fork in the Oreo. In
you are banished. You're muted. Somebody mute him. Mute him.
If you're,
he's muted.
You are not using a fork on a cookie.
No, you were muted for that one.
But John is over here saying,
you're muted.
I don't want my fingers to get all sticky. Well, if you want to be that baby.
No, not sticky. I just don't want them to get all messy with chocolate all over them. No, when I eat cookies, I just want to eat them and get out. I don't want to leave a mess.
Milk, Chips Ahoy for coffee. Those are how you dunk them.
Coffee? I've never tried that. That's interesting. I got to try that.
They get a little bit softer because they become like the softer one, but they're not soggy. It's a really good.
I got to try that. That sounds interesting.
But your hands will get dirty, Joe.
I got to try it. I mean, you got to try everything once, so I got to give it a try. Sounds interesting.
No. But Oreo all the way. And look, I'm going to say this quickly. I did not come up with these debates. If anybody wants to watch a full episode of another podcast, not my own, I'm a big Impractical Jokers fan, so Sal Volcano, along with one of his buddies, does a podcast. It's called Taste Buds. That's where I'm going to be pulling these from now. They got some good debates. I'm giving them all the credit in the world because it's all them. But that was a good debate that I saw. I said, I got to ask us when we do our food section. That's a good one. And John, you're on the wrong side. The fact that you said Chips Ahoy is just
I just never loved Oreos. I liked them, but just never fell in love with them.
So good.
But I don't love Chips Ahoy. I guess I like them a little more. I mean,
What's your favorite cookie then, John?
Oh God, I'm afraid to hear this.
Just a plain old chocolate chip cookie. Just a plain old chocolate chip
brand?
Cookie. It doesn't have to be. It's not a specific brand. It's just a plain old chocolate chip.
No, we're talking about like buying at the store. What's your favorite?
Look, there is no specific.
Oh, you just.
I love almost all cookies. Just love them all, basically.
John, we go in the car. We go to Giant. We go to the Giant supermarket. You got to pick a cookie off the shelf.
Just got to pick out a soft cookie. I like the soft. I don't like hard cookies. Soft are the best.
Okay.
Because then it's not all crumbly and messy and all over your shirt.
What's your favorite brand?
My favorite cookie? Got to be Oreo.
See, okay. Well, actually, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
If we're talking about I would call a specialty cookie, if you will. If we're talking about like regular cookie, yeah, it's not. Well, when I say a regular cookie, which is what I'm going to ask you, that's like chocolate chip or chocolate chip and peanut butter or whatever. That's a regular cookie. Oreo is a specialty cookie because it's not your average, bake in the oven kind of cookie. That's all.
So
if you're getting a regular cookie,
I would go with a chocolate chip cookie.
No, but what brand from the store? What brand from the store is my question. If we're going to the store,
Chips Ahoy. If we're going with the store.
Oh no!
What
See, I like Chips Ahoy. Don't get me wrong, but I will hands down. I will die on this hill. Tate's best cookies.
I don't even know what that is.
Tate's is a specialty cookie in my mind.
No, they're chocolate chip cookies. Tate's has just chocolate chip cookies.
Popular.
It's a great cookie.
Oh, but they're so good.
It's a great cookie. Those little sugar cookies that you get at Christmas with a little chocolate chip on the top. The little like Hershey Kiss on the top.
Oh,
the little sugar cookie with the Hershey Kiss on the top.
It's not on the top. It's in it really, but
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what they're called, but they're really good.
I'm not a fan.
No.
What?
Not a fan.
You guys are crazy.
They're okay, but
not a fan.
Okay, I'll say this before we move on and finish up. The big problem for me, the Hershey Kiss pokes through the top so much when you try to bite the cookie like a normal cookie, like you put it in your mouth like this and you go.
Yeah, but
bite,
I don't.
The Hershey Kiss is like going to hit me in the mouth.
Yeah, but you bite
I'm going to miss it.
That's why you have to bite it from the side. Bite the cookie, kind of nibble around
the cookie like that.
You nibble around the Hershey Kiss and then you finish the Hershey Kiss off.
That's a lot of work.
I'm muting John because that's just too much work and it sounds stupid.
Hey, look.
I want to bite my cookie.
There's a method to how this works.
My cookie and
Whoa, like Debbie. I'm going to mute Debbie right now. Pecan Sandies are terrible.
Ew.
Awful cookie.
Right. That gives me
She deserves to be muted.
That gives
me an awful cookie.
That gives me one last good question, and then I want to move on. Favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Oh, my gosh.
If anyone has the wrong answer to this, I'm
there's two right answers. For
peanut
me,
butter.
There's two.
You're getting removed.
Like tag-alongs?
Peanut butter are the best.
JB.
There's no doubt about it.
There's two right answers.
Thin mints.
Mints are the worst.
That's one of my
best.
There's two. I have two. I can't choose between them. They're so different, and I love them both. I love Samoas, and I love Thin Mints.
Oh, Samoas.
But Thin Mints.
Samoas.
Oh, they're so
Samoas are really good.
But Thin Mints in the freezer. Oh, that's the best. Thin Mints in the freezer are so good.
I hate anything mint, so no thanks.
Oh. You hate anything mint?
Yes. Mint is terrible. It's overrated. Wow. It tastes like toothpaste.
No.
It tastes like I'm brushing my teeth.
That's
with sugar.
Wow.
Sure.
You're scaring me, John.
I agree.
Oh.
I'm curious next week what you guys' favorite coffee brands are.
Chock full of nuts.
I don't really drink coffee, to be honest with
you.
So I don't. I drink it, but I'm not like a huge fan.
You're gonna have to have a bunch of coffee this week and sample and come back.
Yes, you're gonna have to. You have homework.
The question is,
you have to get addicted.
Are we talking a store brand that you can buy, or are we talking like going to a place like Starbucks?
Oh, whichever you prefer. I don't really know what you prefer.
We're not
you can get Dunkin' because you can get You can get Dunkin' at the store. You can get at the actual place. You can get Starbucks at the store, at the actual place, Folgers, whatever you prefer. Or if you prefer the garbage water McDonald's, or something like that.
All right, enough. All right. I want to move on because there's a little bit of other things I want to talk about. This week I want to talk a tiny bit of NHL, just touch on it. There's nothing really to talk about. It's just, hey, here's some news, and then we'll move on. I know it's over a month ago now, back in March, we talked to Gary Bettman, or at least I did. I think you guys were on that call. I don't remember, but
I was on that call.
So NHL had just signed a deal to do certain rights for their playoff games and their regular season games and such to be with ESPN and the Walt Disney Co. That was great. We got to talk to them. But now, actually today, if you remember, when they signed that deal, only certain years of the Stanley Cup Final would be with Walt Disney and ESPN, and only certain playoff games would be with them. Now, today, the NHL signed another deal that also expands to 2027, same as ESPN and the Walt Disney Co. They signed a second deal that essentially works in tandem with that other deal with Warner Media, which is TNT and TBS. That's them. That's who we're talking about here. That basically covers the other years. So the few years that the ESPN does not have the Stanley Cup Final, which is, I believe, 3 years. I think Stanley Cup Final for ESPN and Walt Disney were 4 seasons, so that leaves 3 seasons still available. So they're going to televise in 23, 25, and 27. They'll have 1 conference final series each season from this upcoming season until 2027, and half of the first round playoff games plus 72 regular season games per season. Some of those games will end up airing on places like HBO Max. They will have rights to Winter Classic. They will have a lot of stuff. They'll host half of the Stanley Cup playoffs, like I said, for every single year, which is great. And it begins next season, the 21-22. And more importantly, for anybody like myself who uses Bleacher Report, which I do, it's one of my sources for highlights and such. I like to use it. It expands digital highlight rules and such for Bleacher Report. So anybody like myself that happens to use it, Bleacher Report now has more ability to use NHL highlights if you're into that. So nothing too exciting, nothing really to talk about with it. It's just kind of, hey, here's some news. But NHL is clearly expanding, and I love it. And more importantly, it's something I know we talked about when they signed with ESPN/Walt Disney. They're trying to move onto the streaming platforms. They're moving away from regular TV. HBO Max is going to have some of those channels. It's good and it's bad, but I like the fact that they're moving in a digital era, moving to the streaming services as opposed to just regular television. I personally love it, but again, not much to talk about with it, not much of a conversation to have around it. There's nothing to debate necessarily, but it's good for them.
It's a great move because now they have 2 really good partners that are going to put out their brand and market their brand. And that's what the NHL needs more than anything.
Yeah. Them and the NFL. The MLB. MLB, they need it. We were talking about that before the show.
They need someone to market their product because, you want to make people watch this game. And the only way to do it is to have good partners.
I absolutely agree.
And this is the 3rd straight year that the Hurricanes have made the playoffs. So you know.
That was the next thing I was going to get into because a couple teams have already clinched playoffs.
Not sure if you know, but not counting this year, the Hurricanes just clinching. But the last 5 times the Hurricanes have made the playoffs, 4 of those years they've at least reached the conference finals, and 2 of them they've reached the Stanley Cup. So out of their last 5 appearances in the playoffs, 4 times they've hit the conference finals or better. That's pretty impressive. So they usually make a strong run when they hit the playoffs. Because last year was divisional round, the second round. So they've hit the second round or better the last 5 times they made the playoffs, and 4 of them conference finals. Pretty good.
It's impressive. But yeah, a couple teams have made the playoffs so far, at least. So far, from the West, we have 3 teams. We only have 1 team from the Central, which is the Hurricanes John just mentioned. East and North, nobody has clinched. But so far, the 4 teams that have clinched, Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche, Minnesota Wild, and as John said, Carolina Hurricanes. So we got a fourth of the way there all our teams. There's still a lot of things to be determined. It is far from over, and we will obviously talk about that when the season ends soon. Couple weeks now.
There's about 6 or 7 games left.
It depends on the team, but yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Because
about
Canes
that.
got 6 to go. Canes have 6. Tampa Bay has like 7.
I think some teams have around. I think it's between. I want to say 10 and 6 because I think like the Bruins have a couple games going still.
The Canucks have, I think, a lot because of COVID.
They don't count. The Canucks were a nightmare. But yes, it definitely depends. But I would say between 10 and 6 games is approximately. So that's between a week or two. I would say it's about 2 weeks.
I think May 8th is the final game.
Yeah,
I think it's May 8th.
Somewhere around there, yeah. So that is about 2 weeks away.
Will you be watching the playoffs, even if the Rangers don't make it?
Absolutely. I never miss the playoffs. I love it. Playoffs hockey is the most exciting most exciting set of playoffs in my opinion. There's nothing like
agreed.
it. I will agree with you on that.
It is
the one sport that's
unbelievable
because of the regular season.
And I think I'm most excited. All the teams have played in their division with like a couple teams. I can't wait to see what these teams look like against teams they literally haven't played all season.
It's going to make it for an interesting playoffs in that respect because of that.
Because you have, the Central Division, for example. I'll just take them because Hurricanes, we just talked about them. They've only played in the Central Division, though. Normally, they play in their division, then they play out of the division, and they play against everybody. They've played an isolated set of teams. Like the North Division is all the Canadian teams. Obviously, I think that makes pretty much logical sense. They're in Canada. They're up north. Nobody has played anybody from Canada unless you're from Canada. So those teams, they're just an easy example of a set of teams that I can just quickly pick out because they're all from Canada. Those teams are going to have to travel and play American teams now, the rest of the NHL. But it's just going to be interesting to watch because they haven't played anybody besides themselves. So that'll be interesting to look at.
Yeah.
So it'll make it definitely much more interesting.
But to answer your question, yes, of course I'm going to be watching. Rangers make it or not, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't miss. I love it. It's
nice.
like my favorite time of year. Baseball's going on. Basketball playoffs are going to be coming up. And NHL playoffs, can't beat it. Can't beat it. It's great. So speaking of basketball, I know we're running low on time. Anything big going on, JB, that you want to quickly touch on?
So, John, 2 weeks ago we spoke, and I said to you, how many losses are the Nets going to have in the playoffs before the finals? What's the answer?
I'm still not sure. I mean, this team, this team still hasn't put it together with all their pieces. You were right about what the Lakers are doing. Because look at guess who just came back a couple games ago? AD. Guess who's easing his way in right before the playoffs, about 10 games before the playoffs starts? AD. And that's exactly what JB said. He said they're going to have AD come back right before the playoffs, ease him in, and he'll be ready to go. And as soon as the playoffs start, then LeBron will come in. They'll play the Nuggets. LeBron will he'll get his rust off, when they play the Nuggets, easy win because no Jamal Murray. And then second round, and they'll be gelling. That's what JB said, and it looks like that plan is coming right on schedule.
He's absolutely right.
Two teams that I'm just still in amazement. I've spoken about them the last 2 weeks. The Knicks with the 9-game winning streak, and the team, that ended it. The Phoenix Suns, which to me is the other story. After going undefeated in the bubble, you gotta love what both those teams have done. And I mean, the Knicks are in 4th place in the conference, 3 games behind the 3 seed.
They're a decent team, I'll say that.
What was the last time in your life the Knicks were good?
I think it was the year
Linsanity.
It was around that. I was going to say they went to the playoffs.
Were you in diapers at that point?
I think it was conference finals. They played Paul George and the Pacers. I want to say that was like 2012, 2013 was the last time they were actually legitimately good.
Wow. Yeah,
it was around then.
It's been a long time, and I'm glad for the people in New York. And then the other team, the team in Brooklyn, finally took back over the first place of the conference, which I figured they would. The Sixers will find a way to choke. They always do. You think? What do you guys think? The Nets hold on for the 1 seed, or
Probably.
Yeah. Because I don't think the Sixers, like you said, I don't think they're going to hold on to that. But
no?
I'm still, the Nets still, have a lot to prove. KD misses games and he plays. You still don't know what you're going to get when all three play because you really don't see all three out there.
Mhm.
So there's still a lot of mystery to this team, a lot of talent, but how's the ball going to get spread with all these new guys, with the big three who haven't really played together? Still a lot when the season's just about to end, still a lot of question marks, with the entire team. Even though they have a lot of talent doesn't always equate to,
No.
winning a championship. So,
And
Right.
last thing, Dad, just since we did the NBA pretty quick, because this time of year is pretty boring because we're almost at the playoffs. We're not there yet. Just want to
Mhm.
get there. So they got the play-in this year with the 7, 8, 9, 10, as we were talking about before the show. Jake,
Yep.
what do you guys think about it?
I like it. I'll just say I love it. Honestly, it's going to hopefully provide a little bit of parity because even if it's the low seeds, you may have a team that didn't make it last year but makes it to the play-in this year and then makes the playoffs. It'll provide small parity, but it might be something. It's a nice different idea, and I enjoy it.
I don't like it only because baseball makes sense because you play 162 and they only typically had 4 teams making it on each side before. So it made sense. But for NBA, you already have half the league making it. And now you're adding basically 20 teams make it because there's 10 teams counting the play-in game. So that's basically 20 teams can claim they made the playoffs. That's 20 out of how many teams are there? 31 or 30 in the NBA. So you know what I'm saying? That's almost the entire league. It's almost the entire league making the playoffs, if you will, because the playing game, I guess, technically counts.
Well, you know why they did it? They did it to help try to stop the tanking and, to have...
I just don't like it because, MLB, it makes sense, but NBA, it's you already have
MLB's
16
horrible,
teams.
Though, because you make the playoffs as a wild card, you get 1 game. If you're
Right,
a pitcher as a bad game, you're done. So I
but
can't
it's a little...
say that
It's a little different. At least in MLB, it makes more sense because of you can't play 162 and only have 4 teams make it. It's just not fair. There should be more teams in the MLB that make it because of how many games they play. I think that there should be more teams that make it. It's another story, another argument. But
For another day.
NBA, you already have 16 teams. That's over half the league making it already.
Well,
and now you want to add 2 more on each side,
John,
basically?
John, nobody's no, it's not changing how many teams make it. 8 teams only still make it. It just changes.
But still technically, if you're part of that playing game, technically it's 20 teams are part of that.
No.
You know what I mean? Part of that little circle,
but
part of that tournament.
Do you count the team that loses the 1-game wild card as a playoff team? I don't.
No.
To me, I
do. I do.
That's just game 163. That's not, to me, that's not a playoff team.
I personally,
I
don't
count
count
it.
them.
No,
I think if you got there, then it should count.
1 game. Yeah, you only get 1 game.
Because it's a playoff game.
No, it's a play-in game, actually.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as NFL. One game and you're out. You know what I'm saying?
No, but it's a totally different season. You're playing 16 now, 17 games as opposed to 162. 162 games to play 1 game to matter. That doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't, but it's about the best you can do because you can't really add another 3-game series.
That'd
be a lot of waiting. It'd be a lot of waiting for those other teams.
They love this 7-inning doubleheader. Play a 7-inning doubleheader.
Please, no. Gosh, no.
Let's do it.
No.
But in all honesty, you can play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right after the season. And that's your punishment for being the wild card. You don't get those days off. If you win, you have to go 3 games.
They could shorten the season by 3 games and then just add a 3-game series.
Never happened. They're never going to shorten the season.
Well, I know because of money, but
yeah, I think that's it for me. I mean, there's some other stuff, but it's getting late, and we could go on forever with, mention Tua. I mean, anyway.
All right. John, where can they find you?
Bluehawks13 on Twitter. Sideline Sports, of course, here. NBA Carousel covering the best team in the NBA, the Miami Heat. And covering the Baltimore Ravens for the NFL Carousel, hosted by Alex Lemon, our very own Eric Wilson, the great Eric Wilson. So on the NFL Carousel, whenever that comes back in the fall, you want to check that out. How about you guys?
JB?
John, aren't you doing a show on Thursday as well for the draft?
Yes. Yeah, doing a show for the draft Thursday with Eric, Alex, Megan. It's going to be a big show. We're going to be covering the entire draft, so it's going to be awesome. You're going to want to check that out on the Sports Arena.
And I'm JB Ellis, JB_the program, the program podcast on the Believe Network. Also, the NFL Carousel covered the Chargers, produced the NBA Carousel hosted by Megan Price, and of course here with Jake and the guy who doesn't like Oreos.
The Chips Ahoy.
They're
guy.
a little. They're like Kiss, overrated.
Oh God. Here, we'll just do this. 1 second. There you go.
Look, just saying, Kiss is an overrated band. Oreos are an overrated cookie.
I'm just going to mute him because I don't want to hear it. Chips Ahoy, you can stop talking now because that's your new name for today. You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Just look up @Jake_Malik. That's usually where you can find me. More importantly, you can find all of our Sideline Sports content across social media, wherever you want to look. We have it on Instagram and Twitter, and that is @SidelineSport1, as you see across the bottom. And on YouTube and Facebook, just look up Sideline Sports. We have a YouTube channel and obviously just a Facebook group that we talk in all the time. And more importantly, actually, as of yesterday, Sideline Sports is also on Spotify, and we're working on getting on Apple Podcasts as well, actually. So link will be in our description on our YouTube video, as all our other stuff usually is. And if not, you can just look up Sideline Sports on Spotify if you just want to listen to us and you want to miss seeing things like me changing John's name to Chips Ahoy.
And steaks should be well done.
No.
All right. John likes hockey pucks. Remember that? So just a quick list, and then we're going to cut it. John likes benching Tua Tagovailoa. He likes steaks well done.
Long walks on the beach.
He likes Chips Ahoy. John, you are a madman. And with that, this has been Sideline Sports, and we will see you next week.
Later.
Eat your steaks well done.